Live from the Richard Harris Law Firm Studios, this is the VGK Insider Show with Darren Millard and Ryan Wallace on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Welcome in, Vegas Golden Knights Insider Show, Fox Sports Las Vegas. Ryan Wallace, Darren Millard, Joe Costa, broadcasting live from the Richard Harris Law Firm Studios for the next 2 hours. Happy Monday. How we doing, boys?
Oh, how do you feel?
Well, a little bummed. Not going to lie.
I was thinking if you started with the how you doing again, then I was going to turn it right back at you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
if there was a day to maybe switch it up with the how you doing, boys, today might have been it.
What do you want me to do? Say, okay, let's go.
Well, I think we all know how we feel today.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty evident and understandable. That a Stanley Cup Final appearance that the Golden Knights led on a couple of different times falls in the face of a 3-game losing streak. It's disappointing. There's a lot to get into regarding the series, a lot to reflect on from the Stanley Cup playoff run, certainly a lot to digest from the entire 25-26 season, which started with such high hopes and then had to be rescued at the end with a dramatic shift. Player arrivals, player departures, player injuries, but when it ends the way it did, not just in a series loss, not just in a Stanley Cup Final defeat, but not being able to give yourself the jump that you needed to be able to compete last night, and being shut out in the decisive game. It hurts today. It's disappointing. It's frustrating. It's a little maddening. But most of all, it feels sad.
Yeah, it's empty, right? Like you get to within 2 wins. You go on this amazing run. It feels like the Golden Knights are destined to win another Stanley Cup championship, and for it to come up just a couple of games short feels empty. And it doesn't really matter like what's come before. It doesn't really matter what the regular season brought. Like this team had a legitimate opportunity in front of them to win another championship, and it didn't pan out that way. And these are the moments that make you really appreciate when they got there and got the job done, right? This moment, even if you can't necessarily believe it or feel it right now, makes you appreciate 2023 even more.
There's an opportunity there, and there's an opportunity missed by way of the 2026 Stanley Cup playoffs and the championship series appearance. The Carolina Hurricanes also looked at this as a major opportunity because of the path that they looked at, and this was a season in which a lot of the perennial contenders were not viable in their assertion of being in the mix this postseason. So if Carolina was looking at it like this is our chance, this is laid out before us, the Golden Knights were looking at it as a way to turn around what was a chaotic season at times, an up and down season, and they sort of came into the playoffs from two very different places, but arrived in the Stanley Cup Final feeling equally good about themselves. And for Vegas, what will really stick with a lot of us that are around this group on a daily basis was that you led early in the series. You had an opportunity to double down and sweep those first 2 games on the road. That didn't happen. You got off to the great start in Game 3, and Carolina battled back and gave themselves some confidence that they could stick with the Golden Knights in back-to-back games in which Vegas was really good. And that little example between games 2 and 3, Carolina didn't win them both. I think they got major confidence from in that series and being able to compete, and that if you want to call it missed opportunity or you want to call it a perseverance from the Carolina Hurricanes, I think they both work given that they're on different sides, and that's where I believe that the Stanley Cup Final tilted. You could look at other examples. William Karlsson's exit. You could look at Braden McNabb getting hurt and losing him for basically an entire game, and then being less than 100%. You could examine Freddie Anderson being knocked out of the series. There was nothing happening from a positive standpoint for Freddie Anderson in the series. Brandon Bussi comes in and played really well and was a much different performer than the case of Frederick Anderson, and then special teams. There's all different layers too where it snuck through the fingers of the Vegas Golden Knights and cost them the championship, or tilted it towards the Carolina Hurricanes. But game 2 and 3, I look back at as where Carolina found confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think there's any other way of looking at it. The Golden Knights were 10 minutes away from taking the first 2 games in Carolina, and nothing was really going right for the Hurricanes. Even in that third period earlier on, there wasn't this strong, furious push. It came on. They were able to score. Then obviously the Barbashev goal comes off the board. There are different aspects of how that game ended that, the Golden Knights would love to have had a different outcome out of. But all that being said, once Carolina was able to get themselves going and get that win, I think that was really the point of the series where they felt they could break through, right? And the 3 goals in 39 seconds, the ability to come back in the third period in game 3 just bolstered their confidence even more that they could score enough to win this series. And even though they didn't win that game, I think they felt pretty confident in where they were at that point in the series.
And where that confidence was really rooted was in Brandon Bussi. He came on in the third period of that game, and they came back and got it to overtime and into a double overtime. And it was a fluky goal, but it wasn't a goal that beat him. And and that was the foundation to the Carolina Hurricanes' confidence that they could win, even though their number 1 goaltender was not available for the rest of the series. So Carolina wins its second championship in franchise history. To all the celebrations go to the champions, and we will have to live with what was or what could have been for the next couple of days and or months or into the next season. But for Vegas, it's an interesting series to reflect on, interesting season to reflect on, and there's a lot of similarities between the series, the Stanley Cup Final, and the 25-26 season for the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you kind of look at this series for Vegas. They found themselves at various stages in multi-goal deficits and needing comebacks. They were able to do it earlier on in the series. They weren't quite able to do it in the back half of the series. They had, ups and downs. They dealt with injuries throughout the series as well. So it was very much a 6-game microcosm in the Stanley Cup Final of what this team went through over 82 games in the regular season.
John Tortorella will speak tomorrow. It's going to be locker room cleanout day and exit meetings for the Vegas Golden Knights. We will bring you all of that sound as we get to meet with the players. Coaching, obviously, with Tortorella, and hopefully get a chance to catch up with General Manager Kelly McCrimmon, although I'm not sure exactly how the schedule is going to play out tomorrow at City National Arena. Today, we're going to bring you some of the sound from last night, the post-game reaction from people like Mark Stone or Braden McNabb, John Tortorella. Reason why I want to do that, even though it's the next day, is if you're like me and you're a sporting fan, and I'll put myself into the cases of the Toronto Blue Jays last year when they lost the World Series in such heartbreaking fashion in Game 7. It went off, and it disappeared, and it took me a day or two to absorb some of the reaction and get back into the swing of wanting to know what some of the guys said. So I'm not sure how much people stuck around last night for the post-game show, both on TV and on the radio. But we're going to bring you some of that sound today, just to make sure that everybody has an opportunity, without it being like in the moment and so heartbreaking, to be able to listen and take it all in, just with a little bit of a buffer zone in place.
Yeah, for sure. And, I think it's important too, because you get a sense of just how raw the emotion is, right? Like, you listen to Mark Stone, and when you hear from the players, as we kind of go through it today, you're going to get a sense of how much this means, how important it is to win in these moments and take advantage of these opportunities. And when you've got that much raw emotion coming through, I think that it brings another human element to the players that play this game, that leave it all out there, that put it all on the line. And with a little bit of time, you can really, really appreciate just what they go through and what they put themselves through.
Do you have any firm grasp or opinions coming your way last night as to where Carolina was able to be better in the 6-game series victory over the Vegas Golden Knights in the Stanley Cup Final?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because I don't necessarily think that Carolina thwarted all of Vegas's best opportunities and best chances. Like, I think Vegas had looks in Game 5. I thought they had a ton of looks last night in Game 6. Execution just maybe not where it needed to be. Brandon Bussey made some big-time saves. I'm not going to discount what he did. I think Carolina over the back half of the series were pretty opportunistic in terms of their chances. Like, they were able to take advantage of turnovers. I think that's probably the area I'd look at for the Golden Knights. I think when they turned the puck over, Carolina made them pay. They put it in the back of the net. And then once Carolina got leads, they were able to do enough to prevent the Golden Knights from converting on the chances that they generated.
I like what Vegas did in a lot of areas. Certainly, the front part of the series was more efficient in being able to execute, but the chaotic portion of the series was handled a little bit better by Carolina, because in a lot of ways, outside of game number 1, it was Carolina that was fighting back, and they were able to do a lot of what I felt Vegas did to Colorado in the Western Conference Final. Was, what do we have to do to put these guys away? We keep getting these advantages, and game 2, game 3, we keep getting these legs up, and we're not able to put them away. Special teams was a surprise to me. Massive unexpected performance in the way that Carolina was able to be better on both the penalty kill and certainly on the power play. I didn't see that developing as a storyline that was going to tip the favor in favor of the Carolina Hurricanes, mainly because Vegas is top 5 power play during the regular season. And coming into the series, Carolina's power play wasn't very good in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I expected that to be one of those areas that Vegas was going to be able to take advantage of, and the Carolina Hurricanes flipped that script.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's absolutely an area coming into the series that I thought the Golden Knights would have the advantage in. I knew Carolina was good on the penalty kill. I expected them to be good on the penalty kill, but if there was going to be a power play in this series that I thought would break out, I would have leaned Vegas over Carolina, just because they just didn't really look to generate a lot of quality, certainly against Montreal, but throughout the entirety of the postseason. So for it to catch fire like it did, for Jordan Staal to be a main catalyst of the power play and what they were able to do in this series, it goes to show his importance, obviously. But yeah, I was not expecting a 6-2 score in favor of the Carolina Hurricanes power play in this series. I just didn't expect it.
And for the Carolina Hurricanes, they didn't have the experience in this environment of a Stanley Cup Final that the Vegas Golden Knights had. They didn't have the amount of experience from the Olympic Games or the Olympic Final that the Vegas Golden Knights had. And that didn't end up being the advantage that a lot of us thought it would be when it came down to crunch time. And tomorrow will be an interesting day just to find out who is dealing with what and how much we'll be able to be let in on that. We know William Karlsson not able to play in game number 6, fully aware of Braden McNabb and what he was dealing with and dealt with throughout these Stanley Cup playoffs. But was there a hindrance from the injury front that the Vegas Golden Knights had to deal with throughout this series? And I remember 2023 players saying to me that they felt like they could have gone another series or two. They felt that good about themselves, and the health of the team going through those 4 rounds was so consistent, and it was a different feeling around this group, being a little bit hobbled at times because of injury and players in and out.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be interested, like you, to see what comes of tomorrow and what we learn and what we glean as far as players and what they may or may not have been playing through. But that's such an important aspect of it, right? Like you brought up 2023, and that was the thing. Like they were in a position after they won the Stanley Cup where they felt they could have gone another series. And that's wild, because you don't generally get there. You don't get that deep into June feeling that good, but that Golden Knights team absolutely did. And it's a war of attrition. You've got to beat the team across from you. You've got to find a way to beat that team, but you've also got to find a way to beat that war of attrition too. And both sides are probably dealing with something. We all know how difficult it is to get through any 2 months.
Well, I don't know about Carolina. Outside of Freddie Anderson, you go 16-3 with 20+ days off during the course of the Stanley Cup playoffs. You're feeling pretty healthy and feeling pretty good about your body.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it was a remarkable run for Carolina. They didn't play that many games in totality, so you're right. My larger point is, when you get to this stage, generally speaking, you're dealing with something. Everyone's dealing with something to some degree, and you've got to find a way to battle through it. And sometimes it's just you run out of steam in that regard. You're trying your best. You're doing everything you can.
And Carolina didn't run out of steam. The man-on-man approach, the way they defend, and they play that in all 3 zones. A lot of teams will play it more in the defensive zone, maybe a little bit as the opposition transitions, but they're all over it on their forecheck. They neutral zone. They are dogged. The issue with it, and the part that cost them in years past, was they would fatigue because of it, and you play so determined, dogged with that it wears you down, and they would be a shell of themselves by the time they got to the Eastern Conference Final, and teams would be able to pick them apart because they're a half a second late, or the decision making didn't happen. Well, they got through the first 2 rounds in the minimum with back-to-back sweeps. They got through to the Stanley Cup Final with a 13-game run, winning 12 of them, and by the time you get to the end, they're 16-3, and when you're feeling good about yourself, playing that style, and the opposition has had to grind it a little bit more, and is dealing with some bumps or bruises or injuries, then that's going to take a toll. So if you want to, I love Jordan Stahl. That's a great story. Brandon Bussey, we may never see another performance like that from a 27-year-old minor league journeyman coming in. Taylor Hall winning his first Stanley Cup is awesome. The Mikko Rantanen effect, which I'll get into later in the show, was an influence. But the MVP, the determining factor for the Carolina Hurricanes was freshness. They were healthy and fresh in the Stanley Cup Final and got better as the Stanley Cup Final went on, which in the previous 3 series was something the Vegas Golden Knights produced.
Yeah, and we talked about that after the second round when Carolina was in the midst of a ridiculous amount of time off, as that being a major benefit to them moving forward because of the style that they play, because of how much it takes out of you. The rest, even if there's a single rusty game, which they had to some degree in Game 1 against Montreal, they were able to bounce right back into it. They weren't even that bad in Game number 1 against Montreal, and they went on the run. Like they've been so close for so long, for so many years, unable to get past the conference final, unable to win a game at times, even in the conference final. It just seemed like once they were able to get through that, the confidence was gonna grow for them as well.
More in the Golden Knights analysis, as well as opinion and reaction from the players themselves following the Game 6 defeat last night, in which the Carolina Hurricanes won the franchise's second Stanley Cup, plus a little bit more on Carolina's journey to the top of the National Hockey League mountain. It's the VGK Insider Show. It continues on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Now back to the VGK Insider Show.
National Hockey League season concludes with a 3-0 victory by the Carolina Hurricanes in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final. Hey, shout out to the Vegas fans last night. That rink was really full for the presentation of the Stanley Cup and the Conn Smythe trophies afterwards. And I give them all the credit for not just bolting when not only time was running out, but time expired, and then the celebration took place, and it took longer than I remember for things to finally get to the point of the Stanley Cup being brought out for Gary Bettman's presentation. It did remind me of 2015 when the Cup was delayed because of the rainstorm in Chicago, but I knew it was in the building because I had crossed paths with the keeper of the Cup earlier in the day, and I told him, I said, take the rest of the day off. You're good. We'll see you in Raleigh. He didn't listen to me. But a lot of the rink and a lot of VGK fans stayed and took in the presentation, and I appreciate that, because seeing the Stanley Cup presented, even though it hurt last night, is still an experience. And the third time in 9 years that the Stanley Cup has been presented to the NHL champion at T-Mobile Arena is just that tells you it's another example of the Golden Knights' great run of success.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's interesting. Like it's such a spectacle to see the Stanley Cup awarded. It's got such a mystique about it, and obviously you love it when it happens for you. You love it when you can, be a fan and lose it and enjoy the moment of winning a championship. But even in a moment like last night, even in a moment like 2018, you can appreciate just how much the Stanley Cup is a spectacle unto itself, and how historic it is to see it be awarded year in and year out. And the fact that the Golden Knights in 9 seasons have been able to do that 3 times, or Golden Knight fans have been able to see it 3 times, is nothing short of amazing.
There's nobody calls me more during the VGK Insider Show than Alec Martinez.
Oh, really?
He's got a gift. Just call him right now. I'll send him a text and see what's up. But he does have a gift. It must be in and around the kid's schedule, because he's got a couple under two right now.
Sure.
And it's got to be something to do with that, because he's always calling right in the middle of the VGK Insider Show. I'll send him a text back as we listen to Mark Stone. This is the captain of the Vegas Golden Knights after suffering the Game 6 defeat last night in the Stanley Cup Final.
Can you pinpoint maybe where the series shifted in their favor?
No, not really thinking about that right now. I'm thinking more about how proud I am of the group, everything we went through this year to get here. It's a tight series, bounce here, bounce there. I could have changed it, but proud of every single guy step foot in this locker room this season.
How do you describe this run, this overall?
I don't know. Unfortunate now that it's come to an end in the wrong way, but I'll keep saying it. I am very, very proud to be a part of this organization, very proud to lead this team, very proud to play with every single guy that steps into our locker room. This feeling sucks. I never want to have it again, but when I look at everything that happened throughout the season, the ups and the downs, to give ourselves a chance to play in the finals is pretty impressive. But it doesn't make things better right now.
Mark Braden talked about how proud he is of the group, just knowing what guys went through to get on the ice. I mean, what more can you say about the guys that were in this room?
Yeah, it's, I think a lot of teams will say it, but guys battled through. I've never seen anything like it. Guys never complained. They just put their gear on, go out there and tried to compete. And it says a lot about our dressing room. Guys are proud to put this jersey on. Guys are proud to play here. And, it's unfortunate. Kills me inside. I'm standing here right now, but pick myself up, pick ourselves up off the ground, and get back and ready for September, I guess.
What do you feel like went wrong offensively tonight?
Just didn't capitalize on our chances. I think we had a lot. Had a lot of good chances in tight, just bar, shot it into them. Just didn't capitalize on the looks.
You guys have rallied so many times this year. Did it not really hit you that it was over until that final buzzer hit?
Yeah, I don't think you ever really expect it to be over. Always believed that we were going to figure things out, get things back in the right direction, and we did that. I'm not so sure many people thought that this team would be here competing at this time of year. We're a team everyone loves to hate, so that fuels our fire, and it's going to fuel our fire moving forward.
When you look at the series, is it just a matter of those chances, those missed chances, and maybe one or two, maybe three?
Yeah, when two great teams are playing each other, that's usually the difference in every game, and I think it's no different than.
That was Mark Stone as he addressed the media after last night's game. It's tough, and you can hear it, you can sense it, right? The fact that Stone says flat out, it's a feeling he never wants to have again, kills him standing there having to do media after losing that game last night. Like, it's palpable. You know exactly, and can relate to it on a certain degree. Like, these guys lay it all out there on the line, and it's tough to come up a couple of games short.
And you could hear the emotion when he talked about the season and the journey that they took from the high expectations in September at the arrival of training camp to the struggles along the way between being in first place but not being able to run away from the pack, and eventually reaching a point where the management makes the decision to change coaches with 8 games to go, because there's real concern that you didn't want to miss out on an opportunity with a really talented team by just sticking with it and hoping it would click in. And there was questions about whether they were going to slip out of a playoff spot at that time. And then you get the rush of the final 8 games. So with John Tortorella's involvement and the performance of the team in that first round, going to overtime, trailing 2-1 in that series, and overtime rescuing a couple of games. And the high mark, I guess, would be the 4-game sweep against the Colorado Avalanche, in which you were able to brush aside a steep contender, the President's Trophy winners from this year. And you almost felt when they won Game 1 and were up in Game 2 that the possibility of this happening was so real. It was difficult not to think about it, I'm sure, for the players as well. Led twice in the Stanley Cup Final from a game perspective, 1-0 and 2-1, and you're that close to it. And I'll just from an individual angle, the challenges that Mark Stone, Mitch Marner, and Shea Theodore dealt with this year, in losing 2 crushing scenarios between the Olympic final in Milan and that opportunity, and then to reach the Stanley Cup Final and be looking at being able to complete the double. Going to an Olympic final and a Stanley Cup final, but you want to win one of them. You fell short in Milan, but then add Jack and Noah being able to win both. You're great players. You're going to get these opportunities. Not all of them happen, but for Mark and Shea and Mitch, that's a lot to carry around from one winter's worth of hockey.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's absolute highs and crushing lows, and it's the ebbs and flows of being an elite hockey player, one of the best in the world, right? Like, to your point, you don't get to those opportunities. You don't get to a gold medal game in the Olympics. You don't get to 2 wins away from a Stanley Cup championship if you are not at the height of your game and doing things right. And, sometimes you win them, sometimes you lose them, and it's an entire spectrum of incredible feeling and agony. And I think for Mark, the pride is one aspect that I latch onto there, how proud he is of everybody in the room, how prideful he is in being the captain of this team, of being the guy that's, the emotional leader of this pack. And, the idea that there's, they realize, based on the season that they had, that there weren't a lot of people picking the Vegas Golden Knights to go to the Stanley Cup Final, and they defied those odds once again, and we're 2 wins away.
Did you just say sometimes you win and sometimes you lose?
I did say that, yeah, because it's real. It's a thing that happens.
You said that?
Yeah, you said the same thing. You said sometimes they go for you, sometimes they don't. It's no different.
Oh, my goodness.
Like, listen, I get that you're upset. I get that you're mad. I get that you're cranky, but you don't have to take it out on me. I didn't do anything to you.
There's nobody's off limits today.
Yeah, it's fine. Pick on Joe.
That's just the reality of it.
Yeah. Well, you can choose. You can choose your reality, Darren. No. I have faith in you.
It's full. Like, you come into my viewpoint, you're probably taking some heat today. I went for a big bike ride today. Tried to air things out a little bit.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Not working. Don't feel. Normally that helps with the mental health. It's a big part. Malik Martinez and I actually talk about it all the time. That we need to get our workouts in just to get back right again. Today wasn't one of those days. I'm glad I did it. I who knows what I would be like if I didn't do it. But no, it wasn't working. And you know what? It kind of hit me was I had to cancel my flight to Raleigh, and they clicking that last night was the reality of it. And then there was points today where I'm like, okay, I said, Jen, we should be going to the airport right now. Boom, we're not going to the airport. I was thinking as I was meeting a couple of buddies from back home who were down for the game last night. Hooked up with them this afternoon. I'm like, I shouldn't even be here with you guys right now. Like it shouldn't happen. So working our way through it. Let's take a break. When we continue, more reaction. Hear from the likes of Noah Hannafin, Braid McNabb, and John Tortorella as we continue on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
You're listening to the VGK Insider Show.
Golden Knights and the Carolina Hurricanes played a 6-game Stanley Cup Final. Longest or deepest into the Stanley Cup playoffs the Vegas Golden Knights ever went was this year by going to Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final. The previous 2 trips ended in 5.
Yeah, for sure. And 1 day later than they played in 2023. So there you go.
The anniversary, I thought, with all the vibes going last night, talking about the different experiences in 2023 might fulfill things. I really did think that the extra day going into game number 6 would help the Vegas Golden Knights, or potentially distract the Carolina Hurricanes because they did have their families in attendance looking for a clinching game, and it didn't work out the way or influence the series or the game the way I had hoped. One part that and there's a couple of different things to dissect from the Carolina aspect was start with Brandon Bussi. Career minor leaguer, first full season in the National Hockey League, never played in the Stanley Cup playoffs before, steps into the Stanley Cup Final in relief, which is different than starting, which was, I think, an advantage. He was down 4-0, played with house money, got his confidence going, certainly was better than he was after the Olympic break when he lost the job. But there was a little bit of road hockey, 70s goalie flair to him, jumping over. The play made off the puck that bounced off the top of the net was extraordinary, and poised, and being able to control that without bobbling it. Couldn't imagine what that was like at the time. But there was a couple of saves. The Brett Howden stop off the breakaway was one of the more controlled saves, and then there was a couple of others where he was just diving over and making it up as he went along, and he got bounces, he got breaks, and he also played his way into some pretty positive situations and positions.
Yeah, he made saves, right? And you talk about the one on the puck that goes over the top of the goal, and then it bounces back. Like, he's got to be perfect in that spot. He can't make a mistake there, because it would have been or could have been a turning point in the game. I thought Bussi was really good in coming in. I still think the Golden Knights created enough opportunities and enough chances to score last night. I thought they created enough to score more than what they did over the final couple of games. So you got to tip your cap to Brandon Bussi, who came in a high-pressure situation and found a way to deliver a couple of victories.
Carolina, that was Carolina's best game defending last night. So I'll go against you on that. They didn't give up a lot. There was the break. There was a couple of good surges, but you expect that to go through. But they also kept Vegas without a shot for an extended period of time during that game last night, and Carolina arguably put forward its best performance when it mattered most, and I thought if Vegas could hold Carolina to 2 or less, they would force a Game 7. No guarantee, but I felt as confident as I could in saying that if the Golden Knights and Carter Hart limited Carolina to 2 goals or less, that it would go the distance, and they did. They accomplished that, and Carter Hart was spectacular. The play made on the puck that bounced out in front of the net in the first period was one of those ones where you circle and go in the year-end video that's why you won type of thing. But the offense just wasn't there, despite making a couple of lineup adjustments to look for a few more goals to be able to tap into some of the freshness in a Braden Bowman or the bulking up a top heavy forward group with Brett Howden playing center with Barbashev and Marner and Dorofeev, Stone surrounding Jack Eichel.
Yeah, you had a partial breakaway for Brett Howden, and Bussy makes the save on that one. There were a couple of really good looks for Pavel Dorofeev on the power play, also 5-on-5. You had some good setups in terms of 6-on-5. Jack Eichel to Mitch Marner throws it through the front of the net to Mark Stone on the back door. Like, there were certainly looks. Obviously, Stone back to Eichel, the one that he rips off the bar. Like, there were chances there for the Golden Knights, and they were harder to come by for sure. But I
thought
still
that
think,
puck hit Bussy's head at first.
Yeah, still enough, I think, to have given the Golden Knights a chance to if, like you said, if they kept Carolina to 2 or less, I think the Golden Knights created enough looks.
And you just needed one, right? You just needed one, and the Stone play, how that puck doesn't bounce off the skating in. That type of thing. There's a couple of those plays, but again, I give Carolina credit. They weren't loose, they weren't distracted. They played a really solid game, and they got the early goal by Taylor Hall, who managed to. And there was a couple of those plays where the Carolina Hurricanes were able to work themselves into a position where they were behind the Golden Knights' defense.
Yeah, I think if I'm looking at Carolina and what they did really well last night, like, they made Vegas earn everything, right? Like, it was nothing for free from the Carolina side of the ledger. They didn't shoot themselves in the foot. Like, they understood how important that game was, and they took advantage of mistakes, and they didn't make very many in their own end in terms of defending that lead. So, again, good on them. They earned that win. They earned that Stanley Cup championship, and you tip your cap.
Got a couple of minutes here. Let's go to the text line. You put out a good question to people. Just how do you reflect? How do you look back on the 2025-2026 season as a whole?
Yeah, so Josh says, relax, Millard. You'll be back on TV soon enough. So there's that. Jamie says, frustrating, but in the end, incredibly exciting.
I'm not sure what Josh means there.
Just that you'll be excited to get back on TV soon. You wanted,
because I'm not going to be on TV for a bit.
Yeah, but you'll be fine.
Unless he knows something that I don't, that I've got a gig coming up.
I don't know. Do you?
That's what I'm asking.
Okay.
I don't get the relaxed Millard. You'll be back on TV soon enough.
Ken says, better than expected with a disappointing ending to the season, especially after they took a 2-1 game lead in the final. The last 3 games of the final, they did come out and play like they did against Colorado. Hats off to Carolina. So good one there. Justin, good season. 2026 Pacific Division champs. Ups and downs. Thanks, Ryan and Darren. So.
Got a couple of banners out of it.
Yeah. It's not nothing. Like, it's not nothing.
We discovered this new TV spot to shoot at the Tower Club. Okay. Shout out to Tommy Ippolito, who helps us out with that.
Such a good guy.
But it shoots back over the ledge that looks at the banners. So you get the banners over the shoulder of the commentators. Last night it was Ashley and Alec, but it looks so cool. And Marty was looking at it going, I'm part of like almost all of those banners, whether I'm on the Vegas side or the other side. It was kind of funny the way to look at it. Golden Knights reaction continues on the VGK Insider Show at Fox Sports Las Vegas. Stay with us.
Live from the Richard Harris Law Firm Studios, this is the VGK Insider Show with Darren Millard, and Ryan Wallace on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Day after the day that we hoped would not come, the end of the Stanley Cup Final series with the Carolina Hurricanes defeating the Vegas Golden Knights 3-0 in the championship finale, 4-2 in this series. The Carolina Hurricanes getting through the 2026 Stanley Cup playoffs with an incredibly efficient 16-3 record. Just a marvelous display of hockey and what they were able to do. And for the Vegas Golden Knights, changing coaches with 8 games to go and getting some confidence back, beating the Utah Mammoth in round number 1, 4-2, following that up with a convincing put away of the Anaheim Ducks in 6 games before sweeping the Colorado Avalanche. It created high expectations. The higher end talent, the bigger names were on the Vegas Golden Knights. The Carolina Hurricanes were a team that had parts that were like interchangeable throughout. They played that style that's been criticized over the years, man-on-man from Rod Brind'Amour. Would you be able to go through an entire Stanley Cup playoff run playing with that approach? They did. They won, and they were able to come through with the franchise's second championship. Darren Millard along with Ryan Wallace, the VGK Insider Show. Tomorrow, the locker room cleanout will take place over at City National Arena. And there will be media availability from the Vegas Golden Knights, and we'll get an idea of once the players have been able to take a breath, look back on it, what their thoughts will be. But from last night, we've got some reaction from the athletes, from the coaches, and we'll start with John Tortorella as he met the media after the championship series ended and the Stanley Cup was handed out to Carolina.
John, how proud are you of this group, and just can you reflect immediately on the last 2 months, what this run has been like for you?
Oh, I like the team. Yeah, it's a good group of guys, driven. As I said, experience. They're good pros. It's a really good team.
Right side, front row, Ken.
Do you want to continue coaching this team moving forward?
Oh, I haven't even. I mean, I got to swallow this a little bit.
Left side, front row, Willie.
John, a couple weeks ago, I had asked you what you learned from these guys, and you talked about listening and doing something different this time around. For you, now at the end of the run, it's not something obviously you wanted to end on a winning note, but can you summarize this trip to the Cup Final, this run with Vegas for you personally, not just the guys, but how proud you are of yourself and what it was like to make this run?
Well, I just like to thank Bill, George, and Kelly who give me the opportunity. I feel very fortunate how this all came about, and just kind of in a weird way at the end of the year, and then to get locked in with these guys. I feel very fortunate to get to know the team, get to know the organization, a first-class organization, and just have the opportunity. Like I said, I've wanted to coach. I want to coach, and to jump into this with this gang, I feel so fortunate.
Left side, third row, EJ.
John, this was a battle of a series. In the end, what do you think the difference was?
Well, I don't know. There's a number of things that happen in a series. I felt when I thought their goaltender was really good tonight. Since he came in, he's been very good. We've had opportunities tonight to get it close. I thought Carter gave us a chance, had a good game. Lost our special teams a little bit a couple of games ago. I thought it came back tonight. I thought 2 out of the 3 power plays, we had multiple opportunities. It's a good hockey team. It's a well-coached team. It's a team that checks. And their goalie gives them a really good opportunity in the second part of the series to give them the opportunity to win a Stanley Cup. it's a good. I'm not going to take anything away from Carolina. That's a good club, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for Roddy and his staff. But we put some good minutes in too, and we couldn't find our way. They did. As I've always said, it's a find-a-way league. All the games were close, and it's just try to find a way. They did tonight. They beat us.
Right side, front row, Jesse.
John, we've talked to you a lot about the team's mentality. Mark just mentioned a couple times the us against the world kind of feeling, a lot of hockey fans rooting against this team. Do you get that sense from this group that kind of fuels them a little bit along the way?
Yeah, I don't think that this team here, this group of men, need an extra something to fuel them. I think they get it. I know we're on the wrong end of it here, but I just feel that's a strong room. I'm anxious to see what happens next year because it has another chance. It's such a good room and such a strong room. I don't think they need anything extra to get them going. They know how to play the game. They know what it takes in certain times. I had a front row seat watching 4 rounds, and I'm amazed at some of the things that some players played through, and I'm really fortunate to see how a locker room works the way that one did through the 4 rounds.
That conversation with John Tortorella after the game last night at T-Mobile Arena, it started with the query just about whether or not he would want to coach this team again, looking at possible comments regarding his plans going forward. When Tortorella was brought in with 8 games to go, there was no plan beyond this year, however long this year went. And there was no guarantee the team would make the playoffs in those last 8 games. Would it work? Would they win around? Would they be able to find some momentum? They were able to do a lot of things by going to the Stanley Cup Final. But the basis of the agreement between the Vegas Golden Knights and John Tortorella remained the same throughout. It was through this year and no commitment either side going forward. And now they will take a step back in a period of time, I'm sure, and be able to sort things out as far as what the Golden Knights will do regarding their head coaching position, which I guess you can consider it right now vacant because there's no or do you consider him still the interim head coach? However you want to phrase it, there's not a person in place for next year at this specific time.
Yeah, it's a unique situation. I guess I still kind of consider John Tortorella to be the interim coach of the Golden Knights. We'll see what happens. We'll see what conclusions are drawn after or in the coming days. I mean, you heard it from Torts right there, right? He said he wanted to coach and he wants to coach, and the fit was really good here. Obviously, Torts did everything right? Like everything that he implemented with this team, the mindset piece, all of it allowed the Golden Knights to go on a tremendous run. Now, is that a one-time deal? Is it for the moment? Was it because of the circumstances of the regular season that it all worked out the way that it did? That's going to be up for smarter people than me to decide. But there's no denying what the Golden Knights were able to accomplish under John Tortorella, and say that there was something there that might be worth exploring further.
And you've heard from both Mark Stone and John Tortorella, and I want you to listen to Braden McNabb's words and the emotion and the admiration that these players have for each other, their teammates, their players, in Tortorella's case, on the athletes, of what they went through, which tells me that there's a few different things that were happening behind the scenes that we weren't aware of, that the players had to get through, or a player or two had to get through. Here's Braden McNabb after the game last night.
The last couple games, they're a good team when they play and when they're on their game and their structure. They're a hard team to beat, and we saw that. Proud of the group, man. The guys battled through some stuff. It was pretty remarkable to see. Just proud to be a part of this group.
The emotion, I guess, just, I know it's, again, tough to wrap. What is the conversation, if any, after this one?
Yeah, it's not a good feeling right now. Yeah, this is tough to be on this side of it. Been on the other side, luckily, but these chances don't come around very often, so it stings. Yeah, like I said, you guys have no idea what some of these guys went through, and this fact that they're out there, it's pretty special to be a part of.
When you look back at this whole season, what are you going to remember from this year?
Wild year, crazy year. Just, how we pulled it together and got here. We came together as a group late in the year. Torts came in, did a great job, hell of a job. And we battled our asses off, this whole playoffs, and we came up short. It's going to sting, it's going to haunt us, but, we're proud of how we got here and how we played, and unfortunately, this wasn't good enough.
You guys went through periods of ups and downs throughout the season. How much did it matter to you guys to make that run here, especially after the regular season you guys had?
Yeah, I mean, you have 16 teams trying to have the same goal, and we found ways. We had guys step up different nights, and it's a fun ride until it comes to an end, and you're not on the right side. So it's a tough moment.
How tough was their goalie the last 3 games?
Yeah, he played well. I mean, a few posts. He had tip your cap. Played well. He came in and played well. We had looks. We had chances. Could have gone a couple bounces here or there. 5-on-5, I thought we did a good job. Penalty kill dipped a little bit. It was good tonight. But yeah.
Bring you talk a little bit about just the extra gear. It seemed like Carolina had game 5 and here 6.
Yeah, they played well. Like I said, when they're on their game and playing their system, they're a hard team to beat. You saw it all year and all through playoffs. And they played their game well. And maybe we weren't patient enough and didn't get the forecheck established like we had wanted to, and that's probably where we would have had success beating them. And they did a good job of being on top of us the last few games.
Braden McNabb following the Game 6 loss last night, which allowed the Carolina Hurricanes to capture the Stanley Cup. When Braden McNabb is talking about, you guys have no idea what some of these guys had to go through
right.
To get out there and play. The guy, he missed a game earlier in the playoffs with a lower body injury and then took a slap shot to the face in the Stanley Cup Final. He didn't miss any games because of injury. Only the game that he skipped was due to the suspension. But when Braden McNabb, who took that puck straight to his nose, and I don't know everything that he had to deal with to get ready. I know he went to the hospital during Game 2, but Braden McNabb is talking about how other players were so valiantly determined to play.
Sure.
That gives you a little bit of just reference point.
Well, yeah, because again, like when Braden came back and played the very next game, I think I looked at it and said he's not human, right? Like there are a short list of players that are going to be able to come back and play at a high level and themselves, and Braden McNabb is on that list. And the idea that he is blown away by what some players were battling through and what some guys were putting themselves through just to get out there and be on the ice and play for the Stanley Cup. It does put into context what what we hope to maybe learn a little bit more about tomorrow.
Well, and it makes me wonder
for sure
what guys are dealing with, because
Absolutely.
I didn't feel like I was watching anybody that was dealing with something. And sometimes people can get captured by production, and if the points aren't piling up, they'll go, they're hurt. They're dealing with something. I never saw anybody that I felt was battling physically. So, but obviously, guys were in certain challenges, whether it's extreme or whether it's something that's nagging. But the way that Mark Stone, John Tortorella, and now Braden McNabb have phrased it, there's some stuff happening behind the scenes from a health perspective to get guys into the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, that much is clear, right? Like, we've got some indication and some idea that, not everybody was fully healthy and not everybody was, in feeling good about themselves just physically, right? But to your point, though, Darren, like, I don't think that it was observable, right? And that's a testament to guys leaving it out there and finding a way in the moments to put aside what they're battling through and go out there and play hard.
And teams do go to lengths to make sure that we don't know about some of these things. I've heard in the past, is the Detroit series way back when, that two players had broken feet, and they'd come up with this plan to get them into the rink because before they got their foot frozen, and this elaborate method to get players just into the rink so they could, because they didn't want to be walking in on crutches because they knew that the opposition would know about it, and they would target it. So it's one of the great. There's a book there about how teams are able to hide injuries from the opposition and the lengths that they will go to. But I didn't hear anything like that with Vegas. But obviously, the guys were battling. The lineup changes going into Game 6 last night. We saw Riley Smith return to the lineup. We saw Braden Bowman play in the Stanley Cup playoffs for the first time. We witnessed Caden Korzak inserted on defense.
Sure.
What were your thoughts going in, and how did you see it play out?
Yeah, I think there were, some moments, pockets for Braden Bowman. He had some energy for sure. I liked Caden Korzak's game for the most part. I thought he was fine last night. I expected Riley Smith coming back into the lineup, playing in the Stanley Cup Final in that building. For the story, you wanted selfishly for Riley to put the puck in the back of the net to have.
I had him scoring last night.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. It didn't pan out that way, and I think for Torts there were different combinations. He certainly went back to Marner, Eichel, and Stone at various stages, different opportunities throughout the game. So, I think Torts was trying anything he could to spark some offense and get his team going.
What's your takeaway personnel-wise from what you saw, either the final or the Stanley Cup playoffs?
Well, I think number one for me is, if William Karlsson and Brett Howden and Mitch Marner are healthy all going into next season, I want to see more of that line. It was so good in the postseason. It was dynamic for Vegas. And I like Brett Howden in a top six role. I think the fact that he put 14 goals on the board in the Stanley Cup playoffs, where everything becomes more difficult, is telling of who we think Brett Howden is right now. And a couple of shows ago, last week, we talked about this might be the version of Brett Howden. We should expect 20, 25 goals over 82 games, or any 82-game stretch might be who he is. And so I kind of want to see what that can look like for the Golden Knights moving forward. If everyone's healthy, ready to go come training camp, I'd love to see a little bit of runway for Howden and Marner and Karlsson.
Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer. Whether it's Torts or whoever coaches the team is going to look at that high-profile enough combination during the Stanley Cup playoffs with Howden and Marner. And Marner was great before William Karlsson's return.
For sure.
Howden caught fire in the second half of the series against Utah, and then continued to excel when William Karlsson was in the fold. For Braden Bowman, it didn't go the way Vegas wanted to, but just getting in and playing in a Stanley Cup Final game has to offer some kind of boost for him, whether it's the offseason training experience from this year, feeling of belonging, but it adds another layer to the build-up of him being a full-time National Hockey League player going forward.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he played 54 games in the regular season for the Golden Knights, pretty productive. Obviously, a lot of the production happened early on when he first got into the lineup, but I think there's a lot that Bowman does well that can complement a bottom six line for the Vegas Golden Knights. And to your point, like getting into this game, getting your Stanley Cup playoff debut, being in the lineup, having some good moments in an elimination game for the Stanley Cup, I think is a positive for Braden Bowman, all things considered. And I would expect him to be one of those guys that has a really good chance of making the opening night roster come next year.
And being around for this entire playoff run, he missed a little bit of it because the Henderson Silver Knights were in the Calder Cup playoffs, but he was with the main group throughout, not just the taxi squad. So that I think has to bode well too. Just seeing what happens, being in the middle of it, and certainly going forward to build his resume. Talk about goaltending when we continue. It's the VGK Insider Show, the day after the disappointment on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Carlson left corner, centered, one-timer, score!
It's time for One-Timers. A quick look at news and notes from around the National Hockey League, brought to you by Paul Padalaw. It's not about the injury, it's about the recovery.
Just to give you an idea of what's ahead on the hockey calendar, we have the National Hockey League Draft, which will take place the next weekend. Not this weekend, but the 24th, 25th, 26th in Buffalo, heading over there. Looking forward to what the Buffalo Sabres will produce in another virtual draft, which all the team headquarters, team personnel will be at their respective headquarters, and some of the players will be on hand. It's reminiscent to what happened last year in Los Angeles. So that actually starts the next season. The National Hockey League Draft is the kickoff for the next year. And then a couple of days after that, on July 1st, is the start of free agency. Contracts come to a close, or they kick over to the next season's compensation. But any free agents will be available to be re-signed on that day, or players like Quinn Hughes, looking at you, will be eligible to sign a contract extension. So those are the next couple of things, and then we'll get into development camp with Vegas Golden Knights at Sydney National Arena, and start marching away through the off season. But that's what's straight ahead for the National Hockey League and the Vegas Golden Knights. From the Carolina Hurricane perspective, a couple of things to keep in mind. They made the playoffs 8 straight years, so this has been coming. They've wanted to be into a Stanley Cup Final sooner than this. They've had opportunities, but have always really fallen flat in the Eastern Conference Final and not been able to get through it. They were a much different team this year, courtesy of the back-to-back sweeps in the front half of the Stanley Cup playoffs. But they were also able to lean on a couple of personnel decisions that Eric Tulsky, who's not your traditional hockey general manager, comes from a very strong analytic background. The Carolina Hurricanes and their owner, Tom Dundon, believe very strongly in the analytic angle of professional sports and in hockey. But they just don't lean on that or rely on that. This is an Eric Tulsky roster that has his fingerprints on it, and by way of making big moves, Jake Gensel a couple of years ago. Didn't work out, and they lost him for nothing. And that was really a factor in building the roster that won the Stanley Cup yesterday. And what I mean by that is Eric Tulsky turned around and swung for the fence again last season for the second straight year and acquired Mikko Rantanen from the Colorado Avalanche. When Rantanen decided or let Carolina know that he wasn't going to sign an extension, Carolina moved off him. Did not want to repeat a situation where they were going to lose a star player who they'd given up significant assets for and watch them just leave like Gensel did. So Gensel won't get a ring here. Neither will Mikko Rantanen.
Sure.
But both players had influences on how Carolina put this roster together. So Rantanen said, no, I'm not resigning. He wasn't interested in playing this Rod Brindamore system. Not at all. He goes to Dallas, and the Dallas Stars are able to send Logan Stankoven back. Stankoven was their top goal scorer in the Stanley Cup playoffs this year, and involved in all the pieces that were moving around. Taylor Hall was acquired from the Chicago Blackhawks. I am the first one to say that at the time I questioned why Carolina did it, why you would take on a player that looked like he was on the not the back nine, but finishing up at dusk on the 17th hole, when you might be able to get one more hole into the round. It didn't scream to me impact move. Almost like they had to take on Taylor Hall to make other stuff happen.
Yeah.
But both Taylor Hall and Logan Stankoven were huge contributors on what was it was the second line of the Carolina Hurricanes with Jackson Blake, but throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs, that was their top three, their top line. So Eric Tulsky, good on you, because you swung for the fence with Gensel, it didn't work. You took another big hack with Mikko Rantanen, but you learned from the year before, and you didn't have to sell low because you were in a bind. You found a way to get the Stankoven asset back and Taylor Hall coming over, and out of real challenging situations, Eric Tulsky managed to have two pieces that were integral to this Stanley Cup championship. And I know that Rantanen was talked about going to Toronto for Mitch Marner at the time. Toronto was pursuing that. Mitch Marner said no to that because he had full control over his contract. His wife was pregnant, and he didn't want to be a rental player for that period of time. So there's a lot of moving parts to this roster build by the Carolina Hurricanes that goes beyond just the analytics and the data points.
For sure. And, I think the larger point is it's a learning experience for Eric Tulsky to make the big trade and get Jake Gensel and have that go against you. It doesn't work out. So, you cut your losses on Mikko Rantanen and you bring in a player like Logan Stankoven. It frees you up to get Taylor Hall as well. And those two pieces were a massive, massive influence on this Stanley Cup championship. So there aren't a lot. I mean, there should be more general managers in that are willing to take those big risks, that are okay to kind of cut their loss or recoup an asset if it's not going to work out, if it's not going to pan out long term for their organization. And I think it was a bold move from Tulsky to go out there and get Rantanen, and it was an even bolder move to move off of Rantanen and bring in pieces that could ultimately help them win.
Carolina Hurricanes win the Stanley Cup with Jordan Staal taking the Conn Smythe. Right choice.
Yeah.
Because of the performance in the Stanley Cup Final, and we've talked about it along the way, how if you have a good first round, it sets you up, but the weight of the voters, they put extra significance on a conference final or a Stanley Cup Final. And what Jordan Staal did in the Stanley Cup Final was remarkable. But the fact they did it at 37 years old, and I don't know whether what's in the future for him or Freddie Anderson for that matter. Love the fact that two 37-year-olds pass the cup to each other. I've never seen a player get the cup first from the captain, as in a player that didn't play in the cup clinching game. That was well, it matched the series really, unexpected and had twists and turns. But good on Jordan Staal. That was really cool. And William Carrier, seeing that. We wanted Vegas to win, but seeing him like a misfit celebrate his second Stanley Cup was also took a little bit of the sting out of it.
Yeah, I mean, there was a nice little reception, some cheering for Will Carrier when he got the cup last night, and you could sense the appreciation that the fans had for him.
And he had a great year.
Yeah, 100%. Like I'm a big Will Carrier guy. I think the way that he plays the game is tremendous. He gives you everything that he's got. And the fact that he was able to come back and win a second championship, you root for guys like that. And he's got a good contract for Carolina, and a part of a really good team once again.
More reaction from last night. Let's go on the blue line here. Noah Hannafin discusses being as close as he's been to winning the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I mean, super proud of the group. Obviously, it was we dealt with quite a bit of adversity this year, and just the way guys grinded through and pushed through to get to this point, giving ourselves a chance. Just couldn't be happier to go to battle with each and every one of these guys every night. It's disappointing. Obviously, it hurts. It's one of those feelings that will never go away, but just super happy to be able to be a part of this group here.
What do you guys think? What type of impact does John Tortorella have on your game?
Yeah, I mean, he was incredible. Obviously, coming in the situation, 8 games left, it was pretty unique, but pushed the right buttons with our group and believed in our group, had a lot of trust in our group and each guy in here, and really helped propel us to give ourselves a chance at playing, at this point of the year.
What do you guys think things change after being up 2-1 in the series?
I don't know. I'm not thinking about that right now.
Of all your years here, what made it this year different for you?
I don't know. I think each year, every year is unique in its own way. I think this year, like I said, I think just the ups and downs we dealt with as a group, and when you go on runs like this, you learn a lot about your group and yourself. You grow and you learn a lot, and for me, just getting to this point, you realize what it takes to win and how hard it is, and it's obviously just regroup here and get back at it.
Can you share what you were going through in this series physically?
No.
You mentioned ups and downs. It seems like, during the season it was like, win 7, lose 5. Do you guys feel like you turned the corner at the end there? Like, you guys could find that consistency to kind of keep going toward the end and make that final push?
Yeah, I mean, we've always had confidence in that part of the game with this group. We never give up, never quit. Their goalie made some spectacular saves tonight, and we had some chances. It just didn't go our way tonight. But as far as just will and battle and compete and trying to stay in it, I mean, the guys battled very hard.
How would you describe these last couple of months?
Yeah, it's been a lot. Obviously, it was a fun ride, fun journey going through all this, and I think obviously at one point of the year we didn't really know where we stood as a group, and there was definitely some difficulty, but we found a way just to rally and click at the right time and gave ourselves an opportunity to do something special.
Mark
Mark mentioned kind of the us against the world mentality. You guys are the team that everybody seems to root against. I guess what factor does that play in the motivation, not just this season, but going into the off season?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important, I think this group loves each other. You know, we have a brotherhood in here. Guys have been through a lot together. And I think, that's kind of what we really focus on. We focus on just playing for each other, playing for the guy next to you, and that's what makes, these journeys so fun and so special and so memorable. So I think that's since I've been here, that's been one of the biggest things I've noticed about this team and this group is how much guys care for each other and are willing to battle for each other.
I guess when you think of this season here, when you're late in the season, you're 4 points away from missing the playoffs, then you win the Pacific, then you go through these rounds and sweep Colorado. I know it stings now, but I guess when you think about what you guys did, it's pretty impressive. Yeah,
I mean, for sure. I mean, we battled. It was, it's not easy getting to this point of the year for any team, and we did a lot of good things. I know we lost. We obviously didn't get the result we wanted, but we did a lot of good things in the series too. It's the way it goes sometimes, and it's the hard part about this sport is dealing with losing and failure especially when you get this far down the line. But as far as just each guy in the room, everyone's just so proud of the guys and how hard they battled and like I said, how we gave ourselves a chance.
Noah Hannafin following last night's 3-0 loss to the Carolina Hurricanes. Again, a little bit more about acknowledging what the guys had to do, although he was not going down the path of letting us inside his own personal situation and regarding his health. Might know a little bit more both about him and other players as they meet with the media tomorrow during the locker room cleanout. We'll have extensive coverage of that tomorrow on the VGK Insider Show. A lot more audio from the players as they will have been able to step back a little bit and maybe have an opportunity to reflect a little bit more than being asked about the season and the difficulties of a series right in the moments afterwards.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you'll get time is needed. Time's necessary. It's important to be able to kind of let the sting of last night breathe a little bit, and we'll have everything tomorrow, right? We'll bring audio to the VGK Insider Show. We'll bring you into the room as best we can when we go to air tomorrow at 4:00. So more reactions from the players and hopefully some more information as to what certain players we're dealing with in this series and throughout the playoffs.
One more piece of sound from last night, and that's from Shea Theodore, who spoke following the 4-2 series win that gave the Carolina Hurricanes the Stanley Cup.
I'm not sure. I mean, it's tough kind of finishing like that. I don't know. We had to be better. I think, last home game 3, and then game 4, and we got to be better overall.
When you look back at this year as a whole, what are you going to remember?
Long year. I mean, I'm proud of all the guys, the way the guys battled. A lot of guys were playing through stuff. It's not easy, high pressure situations, and this one's going to sit for a while.
Mark said he's never seen anything like what people battled through. Is it even well beyond what you saw 3 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible the guys, what guys played through. A lot of it doesn't go unknown, but, it's not short of heart in this room. I'm proud of everyone.
Shay, you've been here all 9 seasons, 3 Stanley Cup Finals. I know it doesn't feel too good to be on the short end, but can you summarize in terms of, now for you and what that means?
No, I mean, it sucks to come all this way and lose. It's a long year. We battled through a lot of injuries. I'm just, like I said, I'm just proud of everyone, for how hard they worked, getting to this point.
How much did it change when they went to Bussy and net and just when you had to face Brandon Bussy?
Yeah, he played great. I thought we had, I don't know how many kind of grade A looks. I mean, I think, Hertz had a big one with 3 or 4 minutes left, and it just didn't seem like we were able to get anything past him.
When you look back on this year in your career, what makes this group so special? What will you remember most?
Just an awesome group to be a part of. Love everyone. It's just the way the guys battled all year. Especially with the coaching change late in the season. Bringing Torts in, and I'm proud of everyone.
Would you like to see Tortorella stick around next year?
Yeah. I mean, he was awesome coming in. I felt like he really brought a change going into the postseason, and I think he's been great.
Jay, when you think about this team here, like late in the season, you were 4 points away from missing the postseason. Then you get all the way to the Cup Final, Game 6. What does that tell you about the group here?
Yeah, we battled through a lot. I think things were never easy the whole year. We were down in games. We had a lot of comebacks, and we really grinded right to the end. So, to get this point, I'm proud of all the guys, but it's going to sting.
Is there a learning lesson you can take away through this run, especially in tonight's game?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot you can take when you go to the final. It's never easy getting to this point, but it's just sometimes you get the bounces, sometimes you don't, and just seems like we were on the wrong end.
There's Shea Theodore. We'll continue with the VGK Insider Show right after this on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
That was One-Timers. Brought to you by Paul Pata Law. It's not about the injury, it's about the recovery.
I'm on fire over here, lads. Come on, I need some back and forth. Come on, what do you got for me? What do you got for me? Now make it quick. Make it funny.
We're down to the wire. It's the last minute of play.
Ooh, just squeezing this in, and we got an opportunity to give away some tickets to the Battle for Vegas.
Yeah, if you want to go to the Battle for Vegas on June 27th, the annual charity softball game hosted by Riley Smith at the Las Vegas Ballpark, be caller number 6, 702-876-1340. Caller number 6, you've won a pair of tickets to Battle for Vegas on June 27th.
Goaltending didn't get to spend a lot of time on it, but what Carter Hart was able to do in a challenging series for him, again, no bad goals, but there was too many of them, the goals that I'm talking about. To be able to play his best game of the series, I was happy for him, but you also saw the emotion on Carter at the end of that game, and just poured out of him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you want to win. He wanted to win, obviously, to be able to come back and have a strong game in Game 6 and give his team, the Vegas Golden Knights, every chance to win is important. But you never know when these opportunities are going to come along, right? Like you heard it from Braden McNabb. You just don't know when you'll be back, and it's a tough one to lose the last game of the season. That's just the reality.
Carter Hart played every minute for Vegas during this Stanley Cup playoff run. Had to feel for Aiden Hill, who was relegated to backup role. That'll be one of the questions that the Golden Knights will have to deal with or be questioned about what their plans are with the goaltending position going forward next year, knowing that Aiden Hill commands a large salary. He's got 4 years left on that contract, and they have Akira Schmid, they've got Carter Hart, they've got Carl Lindbaum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Definitely options for the Golden Knights in terms of their goaltending and what it might look like moving forward. But as far as the offseason goes, definitely going to be a question heading into next season what the goaltending is going to look like for Vegas.
Looking forward to getting a chance to spend some time with the players tomorrow, management as well, and we'll have a lot more reaction from the Vegas Golden Knights locker room on the VGK Insider Show. Locker room cleanout day, media availability taking place tomorrow at City National Arena. For our entire group, Darren Millard, thanks for listening to the VGK Insider Show. Wasn't the celebration that we'd hoped, but appreciate you being along for the ride. We'll be back with you tomorrow on Fox Sports Las Vegas.